I, nearly adult female, lost my dad when I was 5. My parents were married, but I remember Dad being more present in my early memories than Mom, and when my dad died, I knew my mom wasn't there for me. She left me to raise myself or roped in some extended family to care for me, usually my grandparents. But she wouldn't always do that, and I was forced to become independent and more mature in some ways to raise myself. I had to make sure I ate, did homework, and got to school on time, all without my mom helping me. The thing she'd do most was make some food, but she wouldn't even tell me she had it. I usually had to search the fridge to find it. My grandparents were the ones who celebrated my birthdays with me, and they typically went to my school for parent conferences. My mom doesn't know me. She couldn't tell you what classes I took in high school, what my favorite food or color is, who my friends and best friends are. Nothing. 5 years ago, she met her husband Sam, and pretty quickly, like before they were living together, my mom got pregnant. So Sam moved in and my mom married him. The baby was born a few years ago, and her son followed along 2 years ago. Right away, I saw the difference in how my mom was with them. She knows them, loves them, dedicates time to them, and advocates for them. All the things I do not remember her ever doing for me. She eats with them and plays with them. She takes her daughter to preschool every day and takes her for a treat afterward. It sucks to see. I didn't get a good mom, but I see she had it in her to be a good mom and chose not to be. Sam isn't as good as my dad was though, but he's still better than my mom ever was to me. Last week, my mom asked me to babysit for her and Sam, and I said no. My mom was shocked and asked me why I wouldn't babysit. I told her I had work and I had plans with friends. She told me that she would have expected me to want time with the kids. I told her I didn't want time with her over family. She asked me what that meant, and I said Sam and the kids are her do-over family. She's a better mom to her younger kids, and she and Sam have created their own perfect little family with them and their kids. But she was never that for me. I told her I had zero interest in helping her with the do-over family. I pointed out that it was the most she'd said to me in years because she usually doesn't talk to me or include me in anything. The only reason she was speaking to me was that she wanted something. She was all, "How dare you say that about Sam and the kids?" She told me I had an awful attitude and she hoped the kids would never pick up on how I felt about them and their dad. She told me they deserve better than being described that way, and she told me I had some nerve to be jealous that her kids had a happy family life. I laughed and told her she only cared about them and that was clear. She called me a nasty little witch. Am I the idiot? I mean, no, not the idiot, you're right and we're blunt about it. Your mom wasn't and isn't there for you, and it must really hurt to see her be the mom you had wished for. You understandably lashed out at her, and in response, she cussed you out, which is unacceptable. You didn't attack the kids, you directed your anger toward the right recipient. Your mum didn't want to hear your truth. It sounds like you've had your head screwed on right, but I would start making plans for when you can get out of there. College is fantastic. You can find your own chosen family. What I find funny is, how dare you say that about Sam and the kids? No, lady, your daughter is talking about you. Also, it's incredible that 1 minute, their family, still once OP says something about her being a bad mom, Sam and the kids are completely different entities from OP. There isn't a family unit anymore with OP involved. Exactly. OP, your mother is trying to deflect your truth onto her husband and your siblings rather than facing the fact she's the one who's the problem. Ask her some questions. What subjects, foods, etc. are your favorites? What did you do for a particular holiday or birthday? Who was your 5th, 7th, etc. grade teacher? Or whatever questions you want. When she can't answer, tell her she's proved your point. This has nothing to do with her husband or your siblings. It's all on her. Good luck, OP. You deserve better than that, and I hope you will find better. I am in a challenging situation right now. My wife had a 6-month affair in the 7th year of our marriage and got caught. It was a shocking and devastating thing, obviously. She offered me 1 hall pass for each month of her affair. It took years of marriage counselling to get back where we were previously. I used the hall passes my wife gave me at the beginning of the reconciliation. I slept 3 times, each with 2 different women, without my wife knowing. When she gave me the passes, she set several rules. She should not know the use of the hall pass unless she asks. I should answer her questions honestly and in detail if she asks. Protection is a must, no emotional connection. I obeyed all these rules, and I'm going to be very honest here. It helped me subside the resentment I had towards her. That is just how getting even feels, I guess. Not that it's a great thing, but it's a fact. It's been 5 years since everything happened and we're doing great. Last week, she decided to ask me about hall passes out of nowhere. I was honest with her as she asked. I answered every question she asked. Maybe I shouldn't have been honest, thinking now. She doesn't even look me in the eyes now and in a depressive state. I know this calls for marriage counselling for us and maybe individual counselling too. I didn't even remember the hall passes and women before she asked, but I feel like crap now. Was I the idiot? Not the idiot. Fool around and find out, right? She just never expected you to actually use it. So she gave you something to help assuage her own guilt but didn't actually want you to use it. Essentially, she just made a superficial, self-serving gesture in the hopes that you would shut up, forgive, and move on with no actual repercussions to her for cheating. Do you think she only had intimacy 6 times in 6 months during her affair? She should not have gotten to decide how many hall passes you get, and now you have to feel guilty. I feel like you got played. I would suggest using the remaining hall passes and not get guilt-tripped into surrendering them. Using a hall pass is not cheating, in your case at least. OP, notice how everything revolves around your wife. She cheated because she wanted to. She gave you the hall pass because she wanted to alleviate her guilt. She got sad you took her up on her offer because she wanted to face no real consequences, beyond feeling bad for a bit during reconciliation. Now she's most likely going to use your hall passes as a way to victimize herself because she loves self-pity. Mate, I'm glad sleeping with other women helped you get over your resentment. Unfortunately, it's a distraction from the real issue. If marriage is a contract, your wife broke the most important terms and conditions over 6 months. You need to reflect on your life and ask yourself whether she should be a part of it. Not only that, but she made sure to put a bunch of rules and limitations on the goofy hall passes she so graciously gave you after cheating with another dude behind your back for 6 months. Absolutely ridiculous. She got what she sought, but now she's upset about it. I'm glad you got to have your fun and definitely don't let her twist this in a way that makes her the victim. Honestly, you should have just divorced her a long time ago. When we married, we decided not to fully combine our finances. We have a shared account where I fund 3/4 and she funds 1/4. We use this account to pay for the mortgage, utilities, groceries, etc. We also have our separate accounts where we deposit the rest of our money. We're responsible for our own investments and cars. Things worked well for a couple of years until recently when she came to me crying. It turns out my wife is not good with her money and owes $150,000 spread over several credit cards and her car loan. Unless she wins the lottery, there's no way she can pay off her debt, and I didn't want her to mess up her credit by declaring bankruptcy. I decided to loan her the money to pay off the debt under strict conditions. I will take over her finances, including receiving her income. She will be placed on a strict allowance and budget. She will have to ask permission to buy anything over $50 and have to go by my judgment. She can take control of her finances once she pays me back the money. She argued against the conditions until I pointed out I didn't have $150,000 in cash stuffed in the couch. I will have to sell some assets, including stocks currently performing well. If I loan her the money, it will cost me money. She finally agreed. This weekend, we were at a dinner party where, after too many drinks, some of the women decided they wanted to take a girls' trip a few weekends from now. My wife asked me if she could go, and I answered no, that it was not within her budget. I'll spare you the details of the argument that erupted, but the short version is that I'm a misogynistic pig who keeps her on a leash. Some argued I should have bailed her out without conditions because there should be none in a marriage. The hurt part is that she didn't once defend me. So, was I wrong to put those conditions on her? Edit, when I got home from work, she started another round of arguments about the trip. I pointed out that she has no money, and she pointed out that she fees. I didn't bring up her debt in front of our friends because I wanted to protect her reputation. I haven't liquidated anything. I'm working with my advisor and broker to decide what to liquidate to take the least financial and tax hit. She doesn't gamble. I looked over her bills and it looked like she spent her money on dinners, drinks and shopping with her friends. We've been married for less than 5 years and do not have children. We've talked about starting a family in a couple of years. Not the idiot, your wife is irresponsible, and when you bailed her out, she didn't learn a lesson. She and her friends put you on the spot like that, hoping the pressure would force you to say yes. The average person would have realized the mess they'd made and realized they can't spend frivolously with $150,000 debt hanging over their heads. But this shows your wife's attitude. Good luck getting your money back. But dude, this kind of stuff for me would be reconsidering this relationship territory. She didn't just overspend on a holiday and had to borrow $1,000 from you to pay for the hotel tab. She must have overspent for years to build up $150,000 in debt. She didn't tell you about her money troubles until it got so bad that she could no longer hide it. That doesn't bode well for the future because she's essentially been lying to you for all these years. The fact that she thought it was even appropriate to consider a friend's trip when she's $150,000 in debt shows me that she still doesn't get it. Honestly, your arrangement to me was still too lenient. I'd have made her get rid of the car and got her a 3000 beater instead. She can drive a crusted-up old car for as long as needed or start memorizing the local bus schedule. Please support her in finding a therapist. She clearly needs help. Some background. I'm a freshman in college living in a dorm and got a randomly assigned roommate. We live very different lifestyles. I like to stay up late and sleep in late, and she likes to go to bed early and wake up early. At the beginning of the year, she told me she likes to go to bed early and is a light sleeper. I told her I like to stay up late, and we agreed that she could turn the light out at any point and I would be quiet after that. She goes to bed 9 to 11ish, and I often get ready for bed and lay in bed at these times out of respect. However, there are generally 2 or 3 nights a week, one of which is a weekday, that I stay up and out past this time. I keep the light off and do nothing more than crawl into bed when I return home, 12 to 3ish. About 3 weeks ago, my roommate told me she doesn't like me staying out late because it affects her sleep, and she wants me back by 12. My friends have made fun of me since because, out of respect for her, I've left parties, study sessions and hangouts early to get home on time, except for a few exceptions. On Monday night, I was out playing board games with friends and lost track of time. I noticed it was 12:30, and out of respect for her, I decided to pull an all-nighter with my friends in the common room. I returned at 8:15 to shower that morning because I had a meeting at 9. However, I got an angry text later that day calling me out for returning at 8:15, despite me doing my best to remain quiet, and even not returning home at an unreasonable hour, as I would have been up at that time anyway. I responded and apologized for waking her up, but explained that I stayed out all night for her and I did nothing wrong. I also explained that while I was willing to compromise and be back most nights at midnight, as long as I was courteous, there would be nights when I would come back later. I got a message last night that she's scheduled a meeting with our RA to mediate, and I honestly want to know if I'm in the wrong, if she's in the wrong, or if it's just a bad situation. Decidedly not the idiot. Your roommate is delusional. You're free to come and go as you please. You pay tuition, room and board just like your roommate does. If your roommate thinks they can control what anyone else does, they are as unrealistic as they are entitled. She isn't your mother and can't dictate how late you stay out. She should have been up when you came in if she's an early riser. As long as you're being respectful, you can keep whatever hours you want, and it's none of her business. She needs to get some earplugs and a sleep mask if she's bothered. She sounds like an angry control freak and you aren't jumping at her command. Yeah, I'm absolutely floored by the audacity and absurdity of OP's roommate. I thought I might be at least a little empathetic towards her, but forget it. All I can think is, holy flying doodle. I thought this was going to be along the lines of using headphones to watch something on a laptop after midnight. Instead, the roommate sounds quite controlling. I wish I could be a fly on the wall for the RA meeting. I, 40 female, have a daughter, a young teen who isn't exactly a tomboy but does boy activities. I'm saying boy activities for the sake of this post. And my mom, 63, is pretty old-fashioned. My daughter isn't doing a sport right now, but she did winter and fall sports. Whenever my mom saw her coming back from basketball all sweaty and stuff, she would scrunch her face. She would tell me her being sweaty and nasty isn't a good image, but she wasn't saying that to my daughter, according to her and my daughter, so I didn't make too much of it. My husband, daughter, son and I went to a semi-formal Sweet 16 on Saturday. My daughter wore a really nice green dress, but my mom's issue? My daughter doesn't wear makeup, so she wasn't wearing any. Upon noticing, she said, "Missy, you are very unladylike." Before she could sit down, I told her to get on her phone and call someone because she sure wasn't staying here after saying that. My brother came and picked her up. Now I wonder whether I overreacted because my daughter didn't even seem to care and thought I should have let this slide. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You're right to shut her down. I'm 61 and I remember how oppressive ladylike was as a kid. My brothers were never told to be gentlemen. That would never happen unless they were harassing a girl, but my behaviour would have been curtailed in very many ways if I'd only allowed myself to be ladylike. It was wrong in 1969 and it's very wrong now. And in 1969, a young teen wearing makeup, except maybe nail polish, would have been frowned upon. Your mom is inventing her own standards of womanhood that have never been normal. Keep her away from your daughter. Though truth be known, even in the 60s, when ladylike was pretty accepted amongst the older generation than my parents, I happily ignored it and carved my own path. Your daughter probably will too, but it's better to be safe. She takes issue with girls playing sports. What is she, from 1850? And a 13-year-old does not need to wear makeup. Nobody does, but certainly not a kid that age. Many girls aren't even allowed to wear makeup yet at that age, and your mum thinks she should wear it daily? Screw all of this. I guarantee your daughter cares and your mom's comments hurt her, but she knows you have her back. You are the shield between your daughter's heart and your mother's outdated judgment.